I've tried to be patient. I've tried to wait. But I have to know how, Father. How do I do it? What do I use to make them afraid? If I ring the bell, Alfred will come. Another one of your gifts, Father. But I'd rather die than wait another hour. I've already waited 18 years. 18 years since all sense left my life. Yes, Father. I will become the Bat.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Off the Record with
Judah
and Kirk. And that is a great cold open, not only to this episode, but to what we're going to be covering of Batman Year 1 from 1986.
1986. This is issues number 404 through 407 of the first volume of Batman. All these issues are written by Frank Miller with art from David Mazzucchelli. I think that's how you pronounce his last name. I'm not 100% sure, so correct me if I am wrong. But yeah, we're going to be digging into one of the most famous Batman stories, a story that's been used in all of the adaptations of Batman to some degree in the modern era, from Nolan to now. So yeah, it's pretty iconic. I want to get kind of a sweeping view, and then we're going to ask a central question. So Kirk, what's like your sweeping overview thoughts of this book?
Well, the biggest thing for me is I first started reading this. It's just 4 issues, so it's not a very difficult read. It is just 4, right? Okay. Just
I nodded if anyone was wondering what that was.
I can count, I promise. So it's 4 issues. It's kind of quick and easy. But I looked at the date after I had already started the first one, because I was like, oh, it's an origin story. I wonder when it was. And you may have noticed that our Crisis on Infinite Earths video, we said Crisis was 85.
It's 86 as well.
It is. Really?
It's early 86.
Oh, okay. Well,
this is late 86.
Very, very similar time periods, right? And so this comes out as one of the first things after Crisis.
Yeah, this is
and it's
definitive post-Crisis Batman.
Yeah, and it's an origin. And so one of my biggest problems with Crisis was, well, pretty much everybody still knows that, like, what the previous iteration of the universe was like, right? Like, everybody remembers all of the stuff that happened in Crisis and all the parallel universes and things like that. And so it doesn't make sense for new characters to be thrown into a world that's different than theirs, and they just, like, there's no difference in how they act as to how they should act for this new world, or there's no difference in that they're acting the same as in the previous world. Either way, that poses a question of, well, either why didn't he change or why did he change? But as I was reading this, those questions are still there because they're not directly answered. But we don't even touch on any of that. We just get a fresh start. This is just a pure origin story. He's gone for a while, he comes back, and you heard the monologue at the beginning of the episode, and that is the opening monologue to this story. And that's it. Like, you don't need anything else. It's an origin story. And I appreciate that. I still have my problems with Crisis. Those do not go away. And I still want to know, like, okay, yes, this is the origin story, but what about, like, when you bring the timeline back up to, like, where he actually is? Like, where is it going to answer those questions then? And, you know, maybe I'll continue reading from here because this is a really good jumping on point for me post-Crisis. But I still want to know those things. But otherwise, I was intrigued to actually get into this and to try to set aside those things and just be like, okay, let's take this for what it's supposed to be.
This and Superman and Wonder Woman are probably the easiest post-Crisis starting points. We've read Man of Steel on here. We talked about it. We both generally liked it, and that is also an origin. But yeah, it does have a very smooth, and it kind of ignores the questions you have, which I'm going to be honest, those don't get answered until 0 Hour Crisis in Time. But I don't like their answers. I think you might like their answers better than I do, but we'll cross that road when we get to it, if that makes sense. But going back to this story, it's one of those ones that's iconic. There's lots of moments from him. Everyone has talked about this book before.
I got to issue 4 and I realized I had actually seen an entire page from it before.
Yeah, that's very real. It's been adapted into an animated feature film. Lots of elements of it were taken in Nolan's adaptation of Batman and Batman Begins. and you can see some leftover stuff from the freaking Matt Reeves interpretation of Batman, as well as draw some stuff from this. So it's very interesting. It's very influential, and it's very grand. But I'm gonna be honest, I don't particularly like this book. We're gonna dig into it, but first we're gonna give a shout out to you, the subscribers. And if you're not one of those people, scroll down, hit the subscribe button. If you like what we're talking about here, hit the like button. If you don't like what we're talking about here, hit the dislike button. Leave us a comment down below with your thoughts on Batman Year One, or your favorite Batman stories that we might check them out, or any Batman reading recommendations and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But, and yeah, go follow us on Off the Record JK on Instagram. You'll get some special stuff there too.
Yeah, every once in a while, usually on stories.
Yeah.
Also, it has just started storming here, so if you hear stuff in the background, there's nothing I can do about it.
Yeah.
But as we are continuing from what we started in the last video, go check that out from last Saturday.
Court of Owls.
It was a really, really fun one to read and to record. And we're doing something new based on some feedback in the comments.
Yeah.
And that is asking the central question for the video.
Yes.
We'll still be doing what we usually do, which is kind of getting into some details of plot, going over what we liked, what we didn't like, but we're going to try to focus it more through the lens of whatever our question is going to be.
Yeah.
And this question today is stolen from my question that I will be asking when we cover Star Trek. And I mentioned this in the previous video. My question then will be, what makes Star Trek Star Trek? So
this question is really simple then. What makes Batman Batman?
Yes. And also some accessory characters. What makes
Gordon,
Commissioner Gordon Commissioner Gordon?
Yeah.
Which that'll be a big one that we touch on in the downs of this.
We're gonna, all right, let's talk about the ups first. I want to talk about positives because I like to be a positive person and not get too negative even on things I don't really particularly like. David Mazzucchelli's art in here, iconic. I love the way he draws Batman. I've seen his work in Daredevil. I've seen his work in Batman. I just love his art style. It's fantastic for this kind of grounded, gritty character. And he really drops some iconic images on you. When he goes and he confronts all of the mafia and wealthy, corrupt people, and the smoke bombs come out and Batman enters. We'll throw that up on screen right here. I'll find the page. I think it's in issue 2. And that is one of the most iconic moments from this story for me. And I really love that scene and set piece. And lots of that has to do with the way Mazzucchelli renders it with his art, which is fantastic. Another thing I like, we have an interesting Bruce and Alfred relationship to this narrative. It's kind of a background thing to mention. I kind of like the at odds nature that Bruce just starting and coming back, trying to start his mission, the way that he is and he acts compared to Alfred, who's kind of still trying to care for him, operates. It's kind of a background thing. It's not really a lot of time spent on that. We get a couple scenes with them, but outside of that, I enjoy that aspect of it. And I like the Gordon stuff in the first 2 issues.
Yes, actually.
Yeah, it's really good, and I enjoy the climax and what it teases for this new era of Batman. But that's my positives, Kirk.
Yeah, my positives are... Ooh, there's some thunder. My positives are the first 2 issues overall are just really good. We're not going to talk about the second 2 yet, but the first 2 issues, genuinely just some of the best Batman stuff I've read, which I haven't read too much Batman stuff, but still, those are really good. I really like it's almost spending equal time with Bruce / Batman and Gordon. Not yet Commissioner. In fact, we start with him early on. We see him just coming to the city for, I don't necessarily know if it's the first time, but for the first time to stay. And he's moving into the city and he's going to, be on the police force here. And we get some really good stuff with him there, and I really like that. And then we cut back to Batman, and we get some more stuff with him. And we kind of see them both coming into the positions that we know them for.
Yes.
And as well as their notoriety. And like we see, okay, Batman is getting going. First we see is Bruce is basically just going out as Bruce, but with a scar. And he gives like actually very good reasoning for it. It's like just one big feature. And then if I'm ever in a lineup, people are just not going to think it's me because I don't have the one big feature. It actually psychologically makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But it's really funny. He's just going out on his own. Yeah. And then we see him like, okay, the bat suit, let's do that. And then he goes out with that. And then that's when people are like, oh, we're actually scared of this guy. That was, again, what the intro monologue was all about.
Yeah.
And then like people are starting to recognize like, oh, there's this vigilante now. The police force is starting to recognize there's a vigilante now, and the mayor who is corrupt. But then we also see Gordon is going out and he is
fighting the system from the inside.
Exactly. He's trying to actually be a good cop. He's trying to he was gaining some notoriety within the police department because of I don't exactly remember what it was, but he was beaten by a lot of the cops for something that he did that was good, I assume.
He gave evidence that he wasn't supposed to give.
Okay, yeah. And so he got a beating for that. And then he very logically and swiftly is able to take down, is it Flash? Flash, not
Detective
Flash.
Flash. I love to hate Flash.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's a really great character. I think one of my favorites that comes from this story, and he recurs later in some other Batman stuff.
That's awesome. I agree. I like Flash, and he's able to beat him, basically to a pulp, but just enough that he doesn't have to go to the hospital, which is what they did to him. And it's basically saying you're not going to be able to just push me over. I'm not going to just give up this fight, and very potentially I'm going to win these fights as well. And so he's getting his notoriety within the police department that like, okay, we can't necessarily mess with him. And we see like anytime like Flash or somebody else in the department wants to take this to the mayor to be like, okay, we got to get rid of this guy. He's really not helping our cronyism. The mayor's like, oh, but like it really just doesn't work at this specific time because of this specific reason. And so like there's nothing we can do about it. We have to wait a few weeks. And that kept on happening.
Yeah.
And both of those things together, the Batman side of it and the Gordon side of it, that's what I want in a year one story. Yeah. Like just getting to know these characters, seeing how they become famous, seeing how the city knows them as, and obviously their origins. It's really interesting and a good contrast as well between the vigilante and police.
Yeah.
But then the next two issues are where those really fail. So we'll get into the downs for those in just a minute here, but especially in these first two issues, just it's really seeing those two contrasted is really interesting. And I was like, oh, can I literally just get 10 issues of what issues 1 and 2 were, and just continuing the trend until eventually it kind of catches you up to the present day, and then you continue from there. I don't know how long it takes them to catch up to the present day, if it literally starts issue after this.
They catch up to the present day.
Yeah,
literally
okay.
The next
it should obviously be a lot more than that, especially when half of it wasn't very good. But to get to what our question is, what makes Batman?
So an essential aspect that this book puts forward as a hypothesis is that Batman is all about fear, right? Like he's about making the criminals quake in their boots. He is about vengeance and not justice, right? Like that's kind of what this book puts forth. I think it's really interesting. I think Miller builds a character of vengeance in Batman and a character of justice in Gordon in the first two issues of this comic. And then in the next two issues, I can speak, he kind of subverts that, which is what we're going to talk about, the subversion of both of the characters, which I like his subversion of Batman because it leads to a Batman that is less vengeful, but not in the same, like he's still scary, still uses fear, but it sets the bounds for Batman to become.
But fear is a proper tactic to be used, so that's not problematic. It's just the vengeance side of it is where is a little bit more problematic.
Yes, but it sets up like in the Long Halloween, which if you ever get a Batman reading order, that would come directly after this. the long Halloween, it helps set up like his arc in there about justice, and it helps set up the kind of more positive Batman, which, if I'm honest, I kind of prefer a lighter-hearted Batman, and that only comes with Robins, and I know that, and this and that and the other, and we have to have Batman solo stories and yada yada yada. But
you can also get that like just because Alfred's around.
Yeah, that's also true. But I don't like Frank Miller. I don't like the way he answered the Batman question, particularly not because of the fear aspect, because of the vengeance aspect. I feel like if you know Batman, and you know Batman continuity, before this, he's training with Ra's al Ghul, and his rejection of Ra's al Ghul is rejecting the vengeance. Yeah. And because we did the same character arc twice. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's okay. Like, I know narratives repeat themselves, and you're bound to do that. But I feel like, I don't know. I feel like it's not, even for the time, it's not an original Batman lesson. Though it may be like an essential one for retelling his origin. But I personally don't like how that's handled. I think the Catwoman stuff in here is very interesting, and I want to get, before we dig into that and the other question, I want to hear Kirk's thoughts on what makes Batman Batman and the answer that this book gives.
Yeah. Again, the first two issues, I think it really does set that up really well, and it sets up what makes Gordon as well. Yeah. A little side question. It sets that up really well, and again, just seeing the two of them together, I really liked how what makes Batman Batman, it's a kind of constant learning and improvement. Yeah. We see a lot.
Trial and error.
We mentioned earlier, he first started out, okay, I'm just going to put a scar on my face and just go out. And again, good psychology, but where's the fear in that? And also, it's not foolproof, right? I mean, it's the mid-'80s. There are cameras around, They're not the best cameras by modern standards, but that's not something that can last for a while. And he kind of learns his lesson. It's mostly on the fear side when he loses his first fight, I suppose. But then he has the idea of the bat, right? And the first one we see is, the first fight that we see with him in that costume is basically a bunch of kids who are committing a crime, stealing, breaking and entering.
B&E, baby.
But I mean, who hasn't? But the fear aspect of it is what he's going for. This is like a trial run. Like, can I get these kids to fear me? And he does. But then during the whole thing, he's potentially learning a couple of lessons on fighting, which you mentioned training with Ra's al Ghul before. Obviously, that is not something that we read as part of this, and so I am not exactly familiar with it, except generally speaking. But he's even coming back from that, and it's not like he knows perfectly how to fight everything. Like an Oliver Queen situation, both from my knowledge of the comics as well as from the CW show. When he comes to Starling City, he basically perfectly knows how to fight. Of course, there's still training and he gets better over time and things like that. But he basically completely knows how to fight because he had those 5 years on the island. In the comic run, year one, it's really good. First of all, that is really good. You should pick up the trade and read it. It's really, really good. I believe I have the compact of it.
You did.
But we see that kind of training arc happening for him while he's on the island. So presumably he comes back from the island and he doesn't just suddenly forget all of that stuff. Like in the show, he knows how to fight, and it's not as much of a learning arc. That is kind of problematic because that does not help for character development. And so we don't have that here. Batman is a character who learns. Batman comes to Gotham. Yes, he knows a lot about how to fight, but one of these kids nearly dies, and he's holding him. He's holding on to him while also getting beat by two other kids. And if these other kids are successful, and he drops this kid that's hanging over a ledge, that kid's gonna die. They said 20 stories up, and so he's. You kind of see the recognition on his face of if something had gone wrong here, this kid would have died for stealing a television. that's not great. And that's kind of what you were talking about, Judah, with the justice, moving a little bit more to a justice morality rather than a vengeance one, which is good. And I really like that. And I think that is where the following issues fail more. Not necessarily as much on the Batman side of it, definitely on the Gordon side of it. Of where we've set up the first two issues, like, okay, Mr. Gordon over here is Mr. Justice, and then throw that in a trash can and character assassinate him. So I want to get into that a little bit.
So, we got to talk about Detective Sarah Essen. So in issue 2, I believe she's introduced of Batman Year 1, which is 405. Gordon kind of takes her under his wing and showing her the ropes and stuff. And in issue 2, you don't really get a sense of anything more than like he's kind of her mentor. And she's representing. He's actually making a change in the police in Gotham. Like that's what the vibe is, and then the time issue 2 ends. Then in issue 3, we get Gordon's internal monologue as he begins to spend more time focusing on crime and more time with Sarah, and we go down a rabbit hole of what I would love to say is character assassination, because it is. And so. Yes, good old Jimmy Gordon, the golden boy of Gotham, cheats on his wife with Detective Essen because Frank Miller wanted to be dark and edgy. That's the reason. He wanted to subvert the character in a way that makes you not like him because you're liking him too much. And if Frank Miller's writing a protagonist, you can't like Frank Miller's protagonist, which is just a general Frank Miller writing trait.
It's stupid.
If you ever read his Daredevil, Matt Murdock is kind of obnoxious throughout that entire run, and that justifies what Frank Miller loves to do with his protagonists, which if you read a series of Frank Miller written works, you will uncover that Frank Miller hates whoever his protagonist is, wants you to hate them as well, and loves to beat the living crap out of them. So...
I will never understand that.
Yeah. So that's kind of the take of Gordon, and... it really is sad because throughout this we've seen his wife come to Gotham and their relationship, which is like is strained because of lots of tension and stuff, but it's still healthy and she's pregnant, like there's just so many things where it's like you just lack any kind of compassion for Gordon after reading it. Like you're just like, oh, like you like he clearly is the kind of man,
and it just kills the momentum of the story.
It really does.
Like what I was saying at the beginning was I wanted 10 issues of what the first 2 issues were, of like these 2 characters gaining their famous names over time. And, even just doing little things, just little by little, they're getting more and more famous. And then it's like, full stop, e-break on, actually... we're not doing that with Gordon. It does, even through these issues, continue a little bit with Batman. But it doesn't at all with Gordon. Like, he just completely fails, is completely turned around, and starts running in the other direction. Like, it was going so well. And of course, people make mistakes. Good people make mistakes. Even, some of the greatest characters you can think of in fiction. Like, they're not great characters if they don't make mistakes. But the momentum of the story did not call for this to happen. Yeah. There are ways that you could have tried to tell a story like that with him, but this was not the way in any way, shape, or form. It would just, no, not at all. And just like, I was rating these pretty well, the first 2.
Yeah.
And the second 2 is just like... I don't even like that these exist.
Yeah, it's really hard to deal with them. It's really hard to deal particularly with the 3rd issue, which all of what we've been talking about happens. I think...
yeah, the 4th issue is more dealing with fallout.
Yeah. 4th issue is better, but not by much. And it's really... for us, it's really hard to get through. I know that this is a highly loved and praised book. I think of Miller's work on Batman, this would have to be my favorite. But that's saying very little because I don't think very highly of this book. Mm-hmm. And you might be like, if you don't like Year 1, you don't like Batman. I think
This is not Batman.
This is not. Yeah. That's kind of the point. Is like, this is Miller's interpretation of these characters, and I will say he has good ideas for them. Like, I love Batman Against the Police Force. It's something every writer this year to Timbuktu has, used, like Batman Against the Police. But like, I just don't like the way he writes his characters. I don't like this like overly dark, false kind of, I don't know. It's edgy for no reason kind of writing.
It's not writing that focuses on the characters very much in terms of, yes, obviously characters are kind of, the main part of the story is the characters of the story, but he's more writing to either try to say something or to have something happen within the story.
Yes.
It's not, I have written a character that has made these choices in the past that comes from this background. What would that character do given a certain situation? Let's write that. That does not seem at all what's going on here. It's definitely not what was going on with Gordon. He just wanted him to cheat, and so he just made him cheat.
Yeah.
There's no story reason whatsoever for that to happen. It's a useless
and edgy character reinvention, and it's kind of, when we read, as we continue to read these older late 80s, early 90s comics, we're going to encounter this more. It kind of becomes a fad. Miller is I would say the forefront of it. He wrote this and Dark Knight Returns in the same year, and both of those books, in my opinion, needlessly edgy, overly dramatic, take themselves way too seriously kind of books. And that's like, even though I really do engage and love the first two issues, like I would say that the first two issues are 9 out of 10 issues. Like, I think they're really fantastic, and Mazzucchelli does, or Mazzucchelli. I don't know why I said Mazzucchelli. It's a completely different guy. Mazzucchelli does a fantastic job on the art throughout.
Yeah.
I think the second half of this story really falters and flops,
And continuing what I was saying earlier with this being focused more on trying to have things happen, essentially, rather than characters doing things, is... that kind of hurts what our question is.
Yeah.
Okay, main question, what makes Batman Batman?
Yeah.
Side question, what makes any of the other characters what they are? And that includes Gordon. And we'll talk about Selina in a second here, too.
Briefly,
very briefly, because I don't like Catwoman at all. Which, spoilers for what I'm going to say. But it's hard to answer that question in this story, because this story actually portrays the character the way that the character isn't, right? Okay, what makes Gordon Gordon? He's good. He's Batman's pal.
Yeah.
Which that part is kind of a given in a year one that it's not necessarily going to be the case.
Yeah.
But we're supposed to see how that starts to happen, and we do. But then at the same time, we see that he is not completely just because he cheats.
Yeah.
And he's not good because he cheats. And yes, it wraps up the story with that kind of getting resolved and them doing counseling and him coming clean and all that. But it's like, that is not who his character is. When we ask the question, who is Gordon? This is not
Gordon
him.
Is a cheater. Like, that's not the answer.
And so that also going forward is, if this is the Gordon that we have as year one Gordon, then what we were supposed to see was him becoming pals with Batman going forward for when he's commissioner. And we do see that, but first of all, it gets derailed when he does a bad thing. But then also, how is he supposed to be the pal of Batman going forward when he's not the kind of person Batman would be pals with?
Yeah.
Which the story tries to have its cake and eat it too.
Yeah.
Miller tries to do both. He is leading towards the end goal of being Batman's pal, Commissioner Gordon, but he is also not even the kind of person that would be. He just holds the rank that is helpful for Batman when he's trying to get the police to tell him where bad stuff is happening. Yeah. And that's kind of it. Like, that's what we actually see in the story.
And if you were a little more creative and less edgy, you could have given Gordon a similar kind of character obstacle that fit his character more, if that makes sense. Like,
something or let it requires, go on for a little longer. Probably part of it is probably that it's only 4 issues and there's less time to do it. If it were more what I was saying earlier with the 10 issue thing, you could make it build and build and build, and at a certain point, even the best men fail. But he folds under no pressure.
Yeah, it's like things are going his way, and then he folds, which I guess is very realistic because real life. But I'm reading this to not escape real life and seeing that kind of thing. So
this is supposed to be an idealized reality, even though it's Gotham City. It's also in a lot of ways supposed to be an idealized reality, at least for our focal point characters who are supposed to be the good guys, who are supposed to be the ones that we look up to, and then it's just not.
It is just not, and that is essentially my problem with this book. It builds a character to deconstruct both of the characters, and I don't like the deconstruction. Well, I kind of like the deconstruction of Batman, as I mentioned earlier, because it leads to better things later down the line. But I don't like the deconstruction of Gordon. There's a story way later, which I will force you to read one day. It's Scott Snyder's first Batman story. Court of Owls was not his first Batman story, fun fact, called Black Mirror, and it pulls from the...
What year?
It's from 2009. So it was 2 years before the relaunch in Detective Comics. It pulls from the ending on the bridge and has to do with James Gordon's kid, and I really like that story. So that story being really good makes the ending of this book better for me because it got used later in a better story. You know? With all that being said...
Well, Selina.
Oh.
I think more or less, let's even ask the question for her. I think it's kind of on point. Yeah. I don't know much about Catwoman. She's a criminal.
She is.
She likes Batman and she likes cats.
Well, the way they frame it in here leads to her being more of an anti-hero instead of a villain, which is his own kind of like reconstruction of the character, very different from its pre-crisis counterpart.
But I think it's kind of where it is even to this day.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, so the bar has not moved at all.
Yeah, so at least in terms of asking the question, who is Catwoman today? Anti-hero, and that's what she is in this. And even going further back, anti-hero includes villainy. Yeah. So it still applies going back even farther than this. But I think it's good because it's what it should be. Yeah. I don't think it's good for me personally. I don't like the character. I never have. I don't think I ever will. Somebody could write something spectacular.
Read Darwin Cook's Catwoman.
Okay,
I'd be very interested to see what you think of that.
Yeah, we can do that. But it's not really appealing to me. Not even like, I even care less about Batman when when the story includes Catwoman. And so it's just, I think it's fairly faithful to her character in general, but then definitely to where her character is today. Yeah. I suppose that means it's foundational in that way, which is important. But
what's the foundation you don't like?
I don't have anything specifically that I can say that's wrong.
You just don't like Catwoman.
I just don't like
Catwoman. So
you
don't like the foundation here. That's interesting. I think it is better built upon in Long Halloween and then When in Rome from Loeb and Sale. Which, by the way, my all-time favorite Batman duo, Loeb and Sale. Also, The Long Halloween is overrated and not their best work on Batman. Haunted Night is. And you can come at me in the comments because I love Long Halloween. I'm just objectively saying Haunted Night is better. And we'll cover more Batman stuff on this channel as we go. But before we wrap up our video in its entirety, we got to give ratings for this book.
Yes.
So, Kirk, I'm going to let you give ratings
this had
first.
A big drop off for me. Oh no, the app refreshed. I have to scroll so far down now.
Crazy.
Batman 1940, because it did continue in the numbering system.
Yeah, it did. And it didn't stop that numbering system until 2011 when it relaunched.
Yeah, which it ended at 713. So it went for a while.
Yeah, crazy.
But scrolling down to the early 400s. Wait, hold on. What was this? Was this Batman 1 million or something?
Batman 1 million is an issue. We have to read DC 1 million.
Oh, so they just did a bunch of 1 millions.
Every series that was releasing in the year 1998 had an issue 1 million, including series that had just started, like Ashriel, Shadow of the Bat. Which
you get number 1, and you get number 1 million.
You're very confused.
Whoa, I missed a lot of stuff
what
here.
Happened?
Did you release like 1 comic per second of the last month to reach that?
How fast were you printing these?
Gosh. Okay. Yeah. So I did 4 stars for the first 2, which were 404 and 405, and then 3 stars for the second 2, 406, 407. The 407 is a little better than 406.
Yeah.
They're both 3 stars.
You'll probably round up by 425.
Yeah, if it were like, 3 stars is 6 out of 10, I'd say 6 and like 6.2. Something like that. Like it's better. It's not
2. Yeah, that's fair.
It's better. I just think it doesn't actually change all that much from the previous one, except, and in some ways it gets worse because, again, it was just like, and I told my wife about it, and now we're going to marriage counseling, so everything's fine, actually.
Yeah. That's how that works.
This was 1 issue, and like maybe 3 weeks or something like that.
Yeah.
Like it was giving dates throughout the whole thing. Because year 1, so it was like, oh, this is the full year, which we didn't touch on that.
Yeah.
I did kind of like that. That was like going through the full year and telling us when in the year these things took place. That's interesting. But it was like early September to late September is when all that stuff happened, and I'm like, that's. Okay. I think that actually makes it a little worse because that is not realistic at all.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna do it, stick with it.
Yeah. All right. That's your overall rating.
Yeah. So my average is 3.5.
Which would be about 7.
Yeah.
7 out of 10. Okay, interesting. So I really love the first 2 issues. I think I like them more than you like them. I think I despise the last 2 issues probably more than you despise them. So what I put was I have the first 2 issues at 4.5 stars. Yeah. I think they're that good. And then the second 2 issues at 2.5 stars.
Mm-hmm.
So if we do some math there.
It's the same.
Yeah. It checks out to being exactly the same. It's 7 out of 10. It's kind of disappointing, you know?
Yeah. And it's disappointing because of the ending of it, essentially.
Yes.
Like,
it has a great
it could have gone somewhere good.
But this is like the most quintessential comic ever because it's like, oh, it starts great and then it ends terribly. Yeah. Which, as someone that's read so many comics, it's really, I love it when a run ends well. Because it's very easy to start a run very well.
It is.
You
just have to ask a lot of really interesting questions.
Yeah, and then you just have to answer your damn questions and not throw more random damn questions on the comic book.
And you have to answer them well.
Yes.
And that's harder to do. You can answer questions as much as you want. See first Doctor Who. But if you don't answer them well, again, Doctor Who, then the show begins to suck, or the comic begins to suck, and eventually it gets canceled. R.I.P. Doctor Who again.
And Star Trek. Nothing's in production for either of those.
Yeah, for the first time since 1963.
We can stop covering Star Trek.
Well, we still have 2 years of releases that were already produced. And by the time the 3rd year comes around, they'll have probably produced something.
And the comic coming in September.
And, well, we got the Red Shirts goes to the 21st coming next month.
When is that?
Or this month?
What month?
Soon. Very soon. Within the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
But and then
we're going to be taking a break for like a week.
Well, this is coming out in the break.
This is coming out in the break. We're going to be taking a break.
Which is why there's only this video this week.
Yeah. So enjoy this video. It's going to be a lot for you to dissect and dig into. Then we're coming back with a bang. We got some stuff coming up. We're going to be covering Supergirl and some other comic stuff. Star Trek. We have
early tickets
for
fan first tickets for Supergirl. See it on Wednesday.
So mid probably. Or really great. Or really bad. It could be.
It genuinely could be any of them. We'll see.
Will watch it in theaters. And we got some more Marvel stuff coming your way because I've been reading Marvel, which we'll talk about in our comic talks, which we'll be doing when we get back.
Yeah, the week we get back, we'll be full.
Yeah, we'll be doing lots of Superman stuff and Spider-Man stuff because of the movie. And we got so much coming up. But we're taking a little week off to just have some fun and enjoy life and not have to record something. So that's what we're doing. Enjoy this video while we're gone. And I don't know. Is there anything else to say?
Drink shout out. Tropical Fantasy Mango. I got a bunch of these for free.
Mango. All right.
You can buy them at gas stations.
Morning.
Good evening.
And good night. God bless.